Ladies and gentlemen, gather round for the most epic cookie event of the century. Introducing the chocolate chip cookie extravaganza. Ever wonder what happens when sugar, butter, and chocolate chips throw a no-pants party in your mouth? Well, wonder no more. These cookies are so loaded with chocolate chips they can't help but make a bad decision. These cookies are so good they might just solve all your problems. Bad day at work? Cookie. Arguments with your cat? Cookie. Lost your keys? Cookie. Parents called and told you that you're an alcoholic loser who they're ashamed of? Cookie. Fresh from the oven and straight to your taste buds, these cookies are so soft and gooey, you might need a condom. Or 3. They're the ultimate comfort food, the world's tastiest hug, and the reason you'll lie awake at night wondering if anyone will ever love you as much as you love this cookie, and quietly weeping till you pass out in a puddle of your own tears and shame. So why wait? Drop what you're doing and grab a delicious chocolate chip cookie today. Because life isn't really going to get any better than this. So, this is probably the last taste of happiness you'll have until you drag yourself out of bed in the morning to face the inevitable march to your own death and down a fifth of vodka as you stare sullenly into the mirror. Chocolate chip cookies, making every moment a little sweeter, one cookie at a time.
Wow. I didn't realize you'd already started the ad read when I sat down. So we're going for it. Hey. Hello. Hey.
You told me to do the ad read. You said
You literally
do the ad
told
read.
him to when you got up.
Oh, I thought I said we'll get one ready.
Yeah, he said get one ready.
Oh, sorry. All I heard was ad read. I've got to go yell at the kids.
Hey. It's the 122nd episode of Just Some Gamers. I hope you enjoy it. We're real passionate, and it's fast moving here. So hold on to your seats, because wowee, it's unstoppable.
Wowee.
Yeah. Ha ha ha. We are laughing, right?
Ha ha ha.
All right. Good.
Go team.
Well, welcome to the second game club episode for Just Some Gamers. We're rocking and rolling with Mass Effect 2 tonight. If you missed the Mass Effect 1 episode, we had way more people than we should have had on it, but it was a great time. Go back and listen to that. I believe that's 119. Go listen to that episode, folks, to really understand the arithmetic, the mechanics, and where we've come from. The intricacies, the outricacies. My belly button's an innie, and some people's are an outie. That's a thing. And my cousin drives an Audi, so.
Damn.
Does he really?
Yeah, I'm sure I have a cousin that does. It's a pretty popular car brand.
I can't confirm that, but it's a possibility.
Huh. Well, if you drive an Audi, hey, email us, justsomeguardians@gmail.com, because I haven't changed the email address. So go ahead and do that.
Only if you have an Audi.
Only if you have an Audi with a picture of it. Or your belly buttons. That's fine, too. Either way works.
Pictures of Dick Cheney.
And pictures of Dick Cheney, yes. We can't have enough pictures of Dick Cheney.
Yeah. Nope.
No. I Google image search him sometimes for hours, and I'm still like, it's not enough. My craving desires more.
Well, I do ratings, right? I get the pictures of Dick, and I rate them based
You rate those
on,
dick pics.
You know,
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
how
Dick
firm,
ratings. Yeah.
how firm he is,
How firm he is.
how turgid.
Turgid, yes. Yep.
Turgid?
Yeah.
How
Turgid.
how veiny he is.
I gotta say, that man did have an impressive girth as well.
He did.
Yeah.
Very much so.
How girthy. Whether there's stuff on his head or not.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Is he shaved? Is he not?
Yeah, it's all about the bush.
Food for thought. Hi, I'm ELMMERFUDD, and I'll be attempting to figure out how this works.
Is he surrounded by bush or not?
Oh, hey! It went full circle there. Nicely done, brother. Don't go hunting with him. It's a bad idea. I'm joined as always with the
He shoots his load.
effervescent, shutting his mouth, Russell. But now he can talk.
Okay. Yeah. No, I never. It's a really bad thing. Like, especially when we're on the show, it's like I can never shut my mouth. It's good.
That's the whole
to
point of the
be
show.
here
Yeah.
with
Have
the
you ever thought of
venerable
duct tape?
ELMMERFUDD.
Thank you.
It doesn't work. I've been duct taped before. It just never sticks.
This is true.
But
hey, wait, no, you're saran wrapped and duct taped. That's different, I guess.
yeah, that's a little more confining.
Yeah, and you were in a mummy bag on top of that.
I wasn't in a mummy bag. I was in a regular sleeping bag.
Oh, it just looks like a mummy bag because
It just looks like a mummy bag.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I had the merman tail.
Yes, merman. Yeah, if anyone out there, while you're emailing about Audis and Dick Cheney, if you've ever been saran wrapped and duct taped into a sleeping bag and then thrown into a pile of llamas, if that's something you've experienced, go ahead and let us know about that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think it's a pretty small number, Russ, and it might just be you.
It might be, but it also, I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. I mean, third world countries, I think they have llamas everywhere, so...
Yeah, but you also have to, do they have saran wrap in those countries?
Ooh, good question.
Access to a proper sleeping bag. Duct tape even.
You know what? I will take twine as an acceptable substitute for duct tape and or... No? Okay.
I won't. No,
nope.
Absolutely not. No.
Never mind that.
No.
I feel like this thing is so oddly specific that you could get a world record for it.
I think it is such an oddly specific thing.
Longest time saran wrapped and duct taped into a sleeping bag.
And thrown into a pile of llamas.
And thrown into a pile of llamas.
Yeah, I think that is, you might be, and this is a rare thing, the only human in history to have that experience. That's kind of a really cool thing.
That's kind of really cool, yeah.
Yeah. Like every once in a while you walk some places in the middle of nowhere and you're like, I might be. Like it's, who knows? But like, I might be the only person that's ever walked in this exact spot.
I feel like that's probably harder to come by. A lot of people over the history of the world.
A lot of people in a lot of spots.
A lot of spots. But it'd be cool. Like, what are the, what if you could, have some vision ray, right? That let you see where anyone in history has walked. And then you could purposely make your way through and step somewhere no one else has. Whether it's just barely to the right of where they stepped, it still counts.
I feel like that would get old really, really quickly. Like, because that's got to be a crazy expensive piece of technology. That it's kind of like, I've bought this thing, it's super cool, and then you tell everybody about it, and they're like, how much did you spend on that? That would be the question that my wife would ask me. How much was that? Valid.
Well, and that's why today I'd like to announce our Patreon. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for your help making this technology that no one wants. Let's go around the room real quick for people joining us here to discuss Mass Effect 2, the second Mass Effect game in the Mass Effect series. Mass Effect 2. Yeah.
Mind equals blown.
Amen. We've got Bill Nye's Bowtie. Hello, sir.
Hello. I did not know I was going to be here, but
Perfect.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. I'm glad you're here too, buddy. Well, I remember, it was like 2 months ago when you were like, hey, when you get to Mass Effect 2, I want to do that. So I reminded you.
Yeah, see, I thought when I told you that, I thought you meant like, yeah, I'm going to play it like as part of the group and then I'll be part of the podcast. But I didn't play it. But I did play it fairly recently. I did play it last year on the Legendary Edition. I played through all of them. So yeah. I feel like I'm fairly up to date.
Absolutely. Well, and you're one of those people that's played it 100 times. We had that conversation when I asked you. You're like, I don't know if I'll play it, but I've played it 100 times. Can I talk about it? I was like, yeah.
I can talk about any video game, basically.
That's a gauntlet to Russ. Russ, find a video game that you don't think he'll have ever touched, and we'll do that conversation sometime, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I take that back. If it's a fighting game or a sports game, I've never played it.
Too late. Locked in. Sucks to be you, dude.
All right. Well, I guess I'll be here for the Tekken podcast.
There we go. Tekken Tag Tournament. Probably the best Tekken ever made.
Oh, amen.
Raiden. He's a character from a game series.
And you can write in too to figure out who else is on the show. That was good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Runga, RNGGator.
What a segue.
Oh. Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right,
He's
man.
distracted by the football game he's watching.
Are you watching football while we podcast again, buddy?
What? I didn't watch football last time we podcast. I wasn't watching anything.
Maybe it was the time before that. We've podcasted a lot.
Well, he's usually playing
It's-
basketball when you play health.
That's true. That is valid. That is valid.
There's some sports I'm going to be watching. So.
You do whatever you want, buddy. Because you're handsome and
It's
you're
college
Just be
you.
football.
prepared to be mocked.
So
I'm
does
paying
that mean
attention.
I'm allowed to play games when we podcast again?
No.
No.
No, see that's different. That's way different.
No. Okay, well, fine.
My game is muted. I can't hear it. I just see the pictures. That's all I can see.
Pretty pictures of Dick Cheney. Don't forget to send those in. And last but certainly not least, folks, I believe we started the introductions with someone who's the first time playthrough, and we're ending with someone it's their first playthrough ever. It's my little sister, Bluelazor.
Yo, how's it going?
Going all right. How about yous?
I'm doing well. I had a rough day at work, so I'm a little worn out, but I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm good.
But you're all cozied up, though. You got the Sora blanket on. Like, what more do you need?
I do, and I think of you every time I wear it.
Aw, well, you have to wear it when you're Sora after work. Hey, twice in a row. No regrets.
Oh.
Hey,
On a roll.
Whoa. It's going to be a good show.
It's gonna be a great show. Yeah, we got home from school earlier, and my son projectile vomited all over the living room and my backside. So, morale is high.
Did he get the same thing that you guys got?
Gotta watch
He
out for
sure
friendly fire,
did.
man.
That's what I asked
Oh,
Lisa after it
Lord.
happened. I was like, "Is this what I look like?" And she's like, "Yep." I was like, "I'm so sorry."
Well, and not just what you looked like, but you covered in vomit is what you looked like.
That's also what I looked like. Yeah. But mine was odorless and his was bad. We won't get into, I know I almost made you puke last time I discussed mine, but it was bad. That's all I'm going to say. And thank God for wooden floors. And
Yes.
yeah, thank God for that.
Did his head rotate as he before he
Yeah,
projectile
yeah,
vomited
yeah,
or
yeah.
anything?
Red
I just wondered
priest.
because you may need a young priest and an old priest. Is what I'm saying.
I hit him in the face with the Bible. I think it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm pretty sure.
The power
Did
of
it-
Christ compels you.
Did
Yeah.
it leave a mark? Did it just like burn into his skin?
Yeah. Well, that was more the iron I had, but yeah, it happened.
But this way you have a good excuse when they ask you, did you throw an iron at your son's face? And you can just be like, no, I threw a Bible at him.
He fell down the stairs while possessed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was walking down backwards. I don't know what happened.
Well, let's go ahead, folks. Enough about puking children, okay? And let's get in the conversation at hand. For one, Mass Effect 2 launched January 26th, 2010. This is a 14-and-a-half-year-old game.
I thought it was 2022 for a second. I feel like I've lost a couple of years somewhere.
I think, there was the whole having a kid thing.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll make time
have a
kind of
kid?
disappear. You should probably talk to your wife about this. I don't think I've been trained to get you here yet to cover that, but yeah. So Mass Effect 2 in the critically acclaimed. I'm madly in love with it. Mass Effect trilogy game series now, thanks to Andromeda, which is a great, fantastic game, and you all should play it someday. But yes, so after the success of Mass Effect and all its lovely quirks, which we discussed in great detail last time, the second game came out with many more interesting characters to discover, planets to go to, weapons to use, enemies to fight.
Squad mates to bang.
Well, bang, okay? Squad mates to bang, Garruses to kiss. It was a whole thing, my friends. How,
Wait, can you roll Garrus?
You
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Blue
I always
Laser.
romance Garrus.
Bluelazor, can you romance Garrus?
Yeah, oh yes, you can.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had a great moment with wine and some music. It was beautiful.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It was. I went back and watched it, and I was like, I've never done this. I think next time I'm going to have to. I was pretty jealous.
Okay, so while we're on the
you
subject,
never romanced Garrus?
No, because it's.
Oh my god, he's the best.
Well, it's always
really
it's always Liara, Miranda,
No,
Tally.
you gotta solidify that bromance, man. You gotta put a ring on it.
I feel like I need to get a mod, whereas Male Shep I can go for it too. And then it's the ultimate bromance.
Oh yeah.
Romance.
So while we're on the subject, why don't we go around the horn and say which squad mate we romanced?
Okay, I'm down for that. Well, we know who Bluelazor did. The one we all wish we could do.
I know, I'm kind of jealous. Now I'm like, maybe I need to do a female playthrough so I can romance Garrus.
Oh, FemShep
It's
is
the only
best
way you can romance him.
Mods. I can do anything I want. I can do it. Well, Russ, who did you romance?
I did Tali.
Nice.
She is adorable.
Yes.
In her, she's got the shy boldness. It's very attractive.
Yes.
My only disappointment was I didn't get to see her face. I was like, oh, I'm finally going to get to see what's behind the visor. And they were like, no, we're not going to show you. We're just going to show you the mask lying on the floor.
Just got
she
could die, dude.
Well, I mean, that's why it's worth seeing her face.
Give a shit.
I'm putting her at risk. I should be able to see her face.
Yeah, good for you, Russ. Proud of you. But yeah, no, I had a moment. I won't say who I was romancing just yet because we'll get around. I guess I'm talking, so I'll go ahead. But so my goal was to romance Miranda, as I stated last episode. I started romancing Ashley, and then I let her die, knowing I was going to try to romance someone else later. So yes, I successfully romanced Miranda. Top tier. It was great on stream. Everyone screamed boobs. It was a good time. But there was a moment, which I haven't really had before, where Tali really came on to me hard. Like, she was thirsty. And I've never had that happen before. It's always just like a really cool friendship, you know? And like how she did it was so adorable. And it was just like, I sat there for probably 45 minutes just staring at the screen, the I'm interested or not interested screen. And I was like, oh God, my entire plan might be out the window right now. I was Googling stuff. I was calling friends and asking them what their thoughts were. And yeah, I finally stuck to my guns, but that means in a future playthrough, I got to go for a Tali romance. But
well, because I chose Tali, I had to shut Miranda down hard, and I felt really bad about it. Because she was like, I'd be interested in you complimenting my body. And he was like, let's keep things professional. And she was like, oh, bye. I was like, that got awkward. Really.
I ended up counting how many people I had to turn down.
Yeah, everybody turned her down. Yeah.
It was like
or you
every
had to turn
play
down.
session, there was someone new.
It's like Baldur's Gate all over again. Hey, we've known each other for 3 seconds, but you want to do something about it?
Well, bang, okay.
See, mine didn't come until the very end of the game. Like I talked with everybody after every mission.
When you're supposed to come at the end. But
my wife tells me that same thing.
Oh,
it's a race. We're competitive. Gator, who did you romance, buddy?
I tried to romance Jack, but she shut me down. I remember I'm Film Shepherd. I'm playing as the lady, and so I had a mod on that I could romance anything, you know. And so, but I end up going with Tali.
Nice, dude.
Romancing. It's always I'm like you. It's always me. It's Tali or Liara. It's who I always go at. No matter who I might say I want to go after the other person, I end up with Tali or Liara.
Yeah,
when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Liara with me almost every time. This playthrough was very difficult. Every second Liara was on screen, I could be like, nope, it's not happening this time.
I kind of tried to romance Samara, but she wasn't having it, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah. She had her.
She came on to me, too.
Did she really?
Okay, question for the group. Has anyone done the Morinth romance?
I have done that before.
Where you...
I've
you
never.
have death by snoo snoo. Critical
That's a good
mission
one.
failure.
It's a good one, yeah. Where you have the choice to kill Morinth or Samara, and you bring Morinth with you, and then romance her, and
death by snoo snoo.
Game over. Really fun thing.
I've read about that one, but I've never done it.
Yeah, I did that once just because you had to. Well, Billy, you were saying you're normally Garrus, right?
So yeah, on my FemShep playthroughs, I've done Garrus. none of the other options for friendship are super interesting, and Thane is kind of like a fish person, which is just weird.
But he is one of my favorite new characters.
As a companion, yeah. As a squad mate, yeah. Thane is one of my favorites. On my latest run through though, I did do Male Shep, and I think I went for Tally on that one as well. I've done. You mentioned it, Gator, the Jack romance option. I know that you can. There's like 2 different romance options with Jack though, and I've only ever done like the hookup one, but like there is like a true romance option for Jack though. It's just really hard to do.
It is.
And so on my next playthrough, I'm thinking I'm going to try and do that just because like it actually involves effort, not just like talking to the person a million times.
Yeah,
I think I had it. I think I had it because I was like, no, we're gonna take this slow, and then it like panned over, and she had that look on her face as I was like walking away, and I was like, should I go for the Jack romance?
The smolder.
Yeah, I had to shoot her down hard, and it made me say, well, not hard, but it was like, I've definitely done a lot of playthroughs where like we're really good friends, and it's always super fun. And like she came at me really hard this time, and so like telling her no for some reason like shut down the friendship so far, and I'm like, oh crap, I hope that doesn't suck in Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, but if you do the hookup option too, it like ruins the like friendship with her too.
Yeah. So
which
hopefully,
is interesting
because she's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, while we're talking about really cool new squad mates, though, we got. I'm gonna throw out some names here. Let's see what everyone thinks. Okay. So we had obviously Miranda Lawson was a new one, the Miss Cerberus lady herself, as a new squad mate. How did we feel about her as the game went?
She grew on me.
Yeah.
She was one at first. I was like, oh, it's kind of like Ashley all over again. And then I was like, as it progressed, she had some good lines. She had some good dialogue. And I was like, okay, she's kind of cool.
Early game, she definitely is doing the, like... Sorry, go ahead.
Plus, they always give, like, that shot, like, right up her ass.
Oh, buddy, you should have seen it. Legendary Edition took half of them out.
It's hard not to grow attached to that.
Yeah. Yeah, the classic, when the game first launched, it was almost every time you talk to her. It's 2010. Really? Every time you talk to her and bring up the option of what you wanted to say, it was just like, boom, Miranda ass.
Right behind her ass, yeah.
Every time.
Well, she's in that skin-tight outfit. It's like, I can see everything.
Doesn't leave much to the imagination.
No, I can see the crack of doom going right down the street there.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I think Miranda is an interesting character. Like, I think they did her arc pretty well, where she starts off as this like really cold corporate shill, basically, like just trying to keep you straight and narrow. But then, once you get to Ilum and her side story and like her backstory catch up, you get to like see more about the stuff with her family and like what like her actual motivations are and stuff. So
her loyalty quest is really
that's one of the fun quests. Yeah, that like
I
sort
love
of
that one.
The gunfights like through the like port or whatever you want to call it.
Some of the best cutscenes too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you think, Blue?
Oh, I didn't like her at first because I was like, oh, you're just for Cerberus all the way, and I didn't like Cerberus at all. But over time, it was like I started really liking her character and just hoping that she would see things my way and not like Cerberus either. And eventually she did, yeah.
Yeah, at the end when she cuts off the transmission of the Elusive Man and hands you the bomb if you choose to explode the collector base, which we'll get into later, it's like, oh, yes, this is awesome. It's hilarious, though, because like if you talk to her all the time, like it's a natural progression and it feels right. But if you don't really talk to her and she's in your squad, she still does it. So like if you have no character progression, it's just kind of really funny for her to suddenly be like, no, guy, I always said I'm really along with you. I hate you now. Bye. And just hands you a bomb. You're like, where'd this come from?
Exactly. Where were you carrying that in your suit?
Yeah, right. I looked thoroughly. Did anyone like Jacob?
Well, no.
Okay. Yeah.
Jacob's pretty boring.
I don't
He's just
like
boring.
Jacob.
Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah.
I liked his loyalty mission.
It was a very interesting one. Yes.
Like you could see a lot of that passion, but he's kind of the same problem that was with Ashley and
Caden.
Caden.
That guy.
Got you.
The dead guy. That he's just kind of boring for most of it, except for that mission. He's kind of boring, and like I kind of liked his interplay with Miranda. Like that was interesting, right? That they had this relationship before. There's kind of still a little bit of the smolder there, maybe potentially. So I mean, there were some interesting things that they did with him, but he was just he was a little harsh for me. I'm like, whoa, dude.
Well, the thing that got me a lot with him is like in the first mission, right? When you're running around, he's very much like, hey, this guy's not going to trust us if we don't tell him everything. Give me a moment. I'll answer any questions you have. We're going to get through this together. And then the second you get on the ship, it feels like anytime you talk to him, he's just very shut off. And he's like, I don't want to talk anymore. Let's just do the mission. And you're like, but you were the most open guy. It was such like a 180 from the first mission. I was like, this just feels kind of weird. I don't know if you can do different dialogue options and he's like friendlier and cool, but every time I've ever played, he's just like
stick in the mud.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to talk right now, man. Like, I just thanks for being there, but I don't have anything else to say to you.
He doesn't even have any calibrations to be.
No calibrations, dude.
What a jerk!
Don't get me started. Calibrations, man. Jacob hit on me because Garrus was doing calibrations.
I noticed your man's not around right now. He's too busy calibrating.
He's upgrading our Normandy. I'm not doing shit.
Right? With the best upgrade the Normandy could get. Morden Solus, the Solarian scientist.
Absolutely the best character in Mass Effect.
Hands down.
I loved his musical number.
Yeah.
Gilbert and Sullivan, come on.
The Gilbert and Sullivan, Pirates of Penzance, come on, you can't beat that.
Yes.
I don't know if he's my favorite, but he is so good. I love that little nuance of the Solarians are relatively short-lived.
Yep.
And so he talks so quickly. But and like that's one of the things that I think Mass Effect does a great job. And I think that's partially why maybe Mass Effect Andromeda didn't do as well, is these developed characters that have this rich history, like with their races and like all the lore that's associated with it. And I think that's where maybe Mass Effect Andromeda maybe didn't hit as hard with a lot of people, because they took it outside of the galaxy.
Don't.
I mean,
you just broke FUD.
Don't.
I've never played it.
Don't.
Just going based off of
Shut up! I'm wearing an Andromeda shirt right now, you bitch!
I'm just saying.
I like
Hold on, Russ. You've never played the game, and you're over here talking about it like you have.
Pretty rude.
No, I said that may be why a lot of people missed on it. Why it missed with a lot of people is because they took it out of the galaxy and therefore removed a lot of that lore, a lot of that history. That's such a big part of Mass Effect.
Well, it takes
specifically
place
like with Morden.
Doesn't it take place before Mass Effect 1? Isn't it before
what, Andromeda? No, Andromeda's after.
Or no, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. It's been a while since I played it.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact because it's after the mass relays blow up.
Yeah, we're not getting into Andromeda right now.
I appreciate Morden.
Stay focused.
I appreciate Morden too because he does the same role that another character who I won't mention in 3 does, where if you bring him on all your missions, you get lots and lots of backstory and context for stuff, because like he's smart and he's been to a lot of places and done a lot of things and like understands like a lot of the different cultures and conflicts and things that are going on in the galaxy. So that's I think why I've always liked Morden, is that he adds so much more depth whenever you bring him anywhere.
Yes.
To the story, because he always has like new useful information to give you about what's going on or what's around you.
Well, and his conflict is so good because he was part of the reintroduction of the genophage.
And that's the big thing, is that the genophage is such is probably one of the coolest, like, interesting stories in a game. And yeah, he brings so much of that forward into, like, I had to do it. I'm not happy with it, but I am happy. Like, there's all these, like, yes, no's, even with him the whole time about it. It's interesting.
It's very much like you can see that they drew a lot from, like, the Manhattan Project scientists, you know, like Oppenheimer and those guys. Like, yeah, we had to do this terrible thing, but there was no other option to, you know, really bring about peace other than do this one terrible thing. And it's, you know, the post internal conflict with that, right? And it's a very interesting, you know, character trait to have and explore.
Well, and how do you live with that after, right? Like, he is like, I've accepted this. Like, it's very logical, right? I've accepted this, but you can always tell, like, especially in those stressful moments where that kind of, that guilt over it starts to bubble up a little bit. Like in his loyalty mission, where you got that great dichotomy of, he's kind of taken it, suppressed it. Okay, look, this is what we had to do. And then you have the scientist on his team who's like, it was a horrible thing. We never should have done this. We need to do something different. And has now kind of gone off the deep end because of that guilt. Yeah. Whereas Morden has taken it and gone, okay, you know what? I'm just going to deal with it. It was what we needed to do. Here's my justification for doing it. Doesn't necessarily make it right, but it's what needed to be done.
What I really liked about the whole thing with Morden and is basically going back to the first Mass Effect game. You learn about the Genophage from the Krogan's perspective when you talk to Rex.
Ooh, yeah.
And it was really cool. In the second one was like you learned about it from the Solarian's point of view with Morden. And I thought that was really cool where it's like you learn both perspectives about the Genophage. And that's that was really cool to me.
Yeah. Fascinating. It's so good. Well, and the fact that he's in a, you know, and it makes sense in that scenario to go be a clinic, you know, like a free clinic, you know, in the worst part of the galaxy you could go to. Just be like, I've did such horrible things. I'm just going to go help as many people as I can to kind of, I don't know, flip that switch in your mind and be like, no, I'm helping. I'm good.
Well, and I love that that's his line to Malin, where he's like, there's plenty of room for another clinic in Omega.
Yeah.
Like, go and do some good. Like, if you're really feeling guilty about this, go and do some good instead of doing terrible things, hoping that something good will come out of it.
Yeah.
But also, like Bluelazor said earlier, his music number, fantastic.
Best scene in the entire trilogy, honestly.
Yeah, it was
the
just
voice actor totally nailed it.
Oh, 100%. It was such a thing that no one expected or would like, hey, this is what I want. And then you see it and you're like, I always needed this.
I feel like the Solarians have kind of stolen the show for Mass Effect 1 and 2, because Hold the Line,
great speech.
Moment.
Yes.
and then Morden getting his musical number of being a modern major scientist.
Modern Solarian
modern Solarian scientist.
That's hard to say.
Like yeah. You know, so I feel like they've kind of stolen the show on both of these. Yeah. Like the Solarians are some of my favorite, like even just their character design. Really, really cool.
Really cool.
Different.
Well, they're the more like
aliens are good though.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The Solarians have always been the more like, here's kind of a fun play on the basic, how we've always said aliens look like in our culture. You know, it's fun that like that was introduced as just like, here's what everyone assumes Martians looks like, but we're going to have them in the game as a different thing. It's a fun nod.
In Mass Effect 1, do they even really talk about like the Solarian culture and like the fact that they're so short-lived that, you know, they have such different behaviors from every other major species in the galaxy? Like, I don't know if they ever explored that in 1, but I know
I don't think so.
It comes up a lot in 2 though, with like a lot of background stuff and character discussions, and it's a very interesting thing to explore, since, you know, I feel like a lot of sci-fi and fantasy focuses on like very long-lived species, you know, like elves in Lord of the Rings or you know, what have you. But
and even in Mass Effect, right? You have the Asari, you have the Crow, right? Who are
like a short-lived species is not something that gets explored very often, and that's
humans are usually the most short-lived.
Interesting, right? Yeah, the humans at like 80, 90 are like the short species, But yeah, it's like, okay, well, how would that, if you go even shorter, what would that look like, and what would the personalities that come out of those people look like? And you get a little bit of like cultural background of Solarians too, in Mass Effect 2 as well. I think that's a very interesting, interesting thing to explore that not a lot of other sci-fi does.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like they explore a lot of that. There's a lot more exploration of lore and the specific species and what they're about and what their feelings are. And the writing in 2 is just phenomenal. Even this playthrough, there were still times out loud I was like, God, just great writing, just from different moments is just absolutely incredible. Well,
I don't think I've ever laughed out loud at a game as much as I did in Mass Effect.
Really?
Like, just some of the comments and like the things where I'd be like, it just really hit me as like, either that's really good or that was legitimately funny.
Yeah.
Like there are a couple of comments from like Morden when you're doing his mission. And then there are just a couple of things from like Grunt or Rex where I was just like,
that's
really
good.
Funny.
Yeah, it's like the writers of Mass Effect are really good at comic relief.
Yes.
And figuring out the exact moment to place it.
And also at the same time being really like serious. Like they're just really good at setting whatever tone they need to, whether lore wise or like you were saying, the comic relief, like they can do both ends of that spectrum beautifully. And it especially shows in Mass Effect 2.
It's really rare to find writers that can pull that off.
Yeah.
Well, and
it's
not
really
just
hard.
Writers. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Not just writers, but voice actors too, right?
Yeah,
because it's
that's
the
true.
delivery too, right? Where they deliver it in the right way that you pick up on that comedic line. Like Mass Effect, that is probably my favorite part of it. Like game mechanics, I get it. Came out in 2010. Like not all of them are great, right? The cover mechanic drove me crazy a lot of the time because I would pop out when I didn't mean to, and then I would just die, and it drove me crazy. But the writing, the world building, the voice actors, top tier.
Top notch.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of really good writing in a character, let's discuss Jack here a little bit. Another one of those that you think is one dimensional of a character, and then the more you talk, you go, holy there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use her a lot in this. Like when I went on missions, I use her a lot. I love her biotic abilities and everything, and her lines and stuff are just great. Like the way she gets into it with Miranda and stuff like that. I love Jack.
She was really good, and I really loved the conversations that you had with her.
Yeah,
where she would say something, and then you'd be like, "But you just said you're lonely," and she'd be like, "Well." I mean, yeah, a little bit. And she would kind of like open up, and she had lots of layers.
Very much so.
That was really, really good. And even from the first moment where you run into her and like you're chasing her through the path of destruction that she's created in the prison, like, cool. And then she's like, the only way off is your ship. Great, I'll just kill you later. Like, let's go.
Yeah. What are your thoughts
I think
on...
one thing that's cool with Jack is I think it's right when you first meet her. You have that line of like, or she's like, "You're with Cerberus. Why should I trust you?" And if you're doing a Paragon run, you can just say, "I'm just using Cerberus for my own ends. Come with me, and you can do the same." Like I don't give a shit about Cerberus, which is how I've always played too.
Yeah,
I never align myself with Cerberus.
Mm-mm.
And I think you mentioned it earlier, but the scene at the very end where you can like just hang up the call on the elusive man, just like mid conversation, just be like, "Fuck you." That's like the best. That's the best option for for Paragon in the whole game. But yeah, like I think Jack like you to explore your own Shepard's morality. I think, which is interesting because like there's the whole like turning the work with Cerberus on its head to use for your own ends and not for Cerberus's ends. A lot of that is brought out in Jack's character arc and the conversations you have with her, and it's an interesting way to do that, right? Is to kind of have a character in the game and a companion in your squad whose life was destroyed by Cerberus, literally, but is now with you in spite of that. And that, I think that speaks a lot to Shepard's character as well. depending on how you play them.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting pathway that you can explore.
Well, she's a good foil, and especially, and I think that's what made Miranda like grow as a character too. Is when you have, okay, here is somebody who is incredibly loyal to Cerberus and thinks that basically they can do no wrong, and then you have Jack, and they're the antithesis of each other.
Yeah,
and they play a good foil against each other, and like you said, Bill, it's you're discovering your own shepherd's morality through that of like, man, Cerberus, I mean, like, because I played it like Cerberus is a means to an end. Like, they're getting me where I need to be able to save the universe, the galaxy, whatever. But like, I really don't want, like, they've done terrible things, and just because the elusive man is like, no, that was done outside of my knowledge.
Oh yeah,
and, like,
It was.
a lot of hand waving.
Yeah. I'd never heard of that.
Right. So
Well,
she's a great foil.
Yeah.
In that circumstance where they had that dichotic.
You get there. 3 hours of sleep. You got this.
Dichotic? I don't know.
Dichotomy.
They had that
dichotomy.
Yeah, but
economy.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Economy. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Economy.
the dichotomy, but then I was looking at it as more of a verb, and I think it changes to dichotic.
Run.
I don't think so. They have this. They have this great. I'm done. I got.
Well, it's fascinating with her, like, especially in her loyalty mission. Like, everything that she thinks has created her as you go through, she goes, "This isn't how I remembered it." Like how in her brain she remembers everything happening to just her, and everyone else was just existing, and then you find out everyone else had it worse in order to protect her. Was such it was such a fascinating look into mental health, and what your past can seem to you is not what it seems to other people, and that creates really interesting conversations. It's again just really good writing. That's a really fun mission to bring Miranda on as well. Is the two of them, and they have really good back and forths. It's very fascinating.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I feel like I missed out a little bit because I didn't change up my team roster very much until I started to get to the loyalty missions. I usually just brought Garrison Grunt with me.
Yeah, because it was the Garrison Rex. Yeah. I respect it.
And so I think I may have missed out on maybe bringing characters along who may not have necessarily gotten along. So to see how that interplay.
I believe when last time I did Jack's loyalty mission, I brought Miranda and Jacob to see what their reactions would be. I played the game before at that point. I knew what was coming. And yeah, Miranda's reactions are very interesting, and I think that sort of really helps lean into like her change at the end of the game where she betrays Cerberus, where it's like she has a lot of comments of like, where she proves herself to be true, to be honest, saying like, I had no idea Cerberus was doing this either.
Yeah.
And it was so far in the past. It's like, yeah, how could she? It's not something that's working. It's not going on anymore. If I remember, I don't think Jacob has a lot to say on that mission. I would say probably in the way it's coded with like dialogue priority, I would say Miranda probably supersedes Jacob. So maybe if you switched it up and brought Jacob and then someone like another non-Cerberus character, maybe he would have more to say. But yeah, I try to do that a lot on loyalty missions and stuff, like bring interesting characters around to see what the other squad mates commentary would be.
Anything else on Jack? All right, another very interesting look on a race and everything going on and how things can come to be, and a look into the lore and history is Grunt. Being bred out of a tube, the perfect specimen of a Krogan, who does not feel worthy of being a Krogan, also feels no one else is worthy enough to look upon him. Fascinating.
Yeah, he's really. I really loved his loyalty mission. I think I loved all the loyalty missions, where I ended up because you don't necessarily have to defeat the Thresher Maw, I'm assuming.
I don't know. I always have. I don't know if you ever can do it without.
I think on like the highest difficulties, it's really hard to kill it, so it's easier to just wait out the time limit.
I didn't know there was a time limit. That's interesting.
Yeah,
yeah. There's a
4
4-minute
limit.
No, I've never. I just kill the Threshermon. I'm so focused.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I
I've
noticed
always killed
something
it,
you
but I
didn't.
think on the
I just
on the higher
am better, I
difficulties,
guess.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested because it was like they made a big deal of, oh, look, the last person to defeat a Threshermon during their rite was Rex. And it's like now he's kind of the heir apparent to Rex. And I thought that was really interesting and really cool. Mostly because I got to interact with Rex again, and Rex is just awesome.
The man, yeah.
I love Rex.
Yeah, I love when you're talking to Rex and there's the one comment of "come with us." I'm like, God, I wish there was a way I could get him on this ship with Grunt and just run Grunt and Rex on a team. That would be awesome.
But
one of my favorite parts is when he headbutts the guy, and then you have the option
to headbutt him also. Yeah. This guy gets it. Yeah. Yeah, Tuchanka was very fascinating to see. And it was interesting. You had, Grunt shows up and he's like, this is what we're fighting over. This is a shithole. And like some of the other Krogan you talk to think the same way. And there's a couple other characters that like aren't the main ones that you can have conversation with. And like how they describe things, you go, oh, I get it. Like, it's a ancestral, the history of it, and like how, if you can survive this, it creates you to be stronger, which is obviously an excuse to not grab a broom. But, it's just the more people you talk to, the more you go, oh, actually, like I get what this is now and like why it is the way it is. Like it's all about who's the strongest. And like, if you can't survive in this hellhole, why would you belong anywhere else? It's really fascinating.
I've always wished that there was more background on the Krogans, like pre-Genophage, like what their societies looked like. Like they kind of give you some hints and stuff where it's like, and you can kind of see like from the missions on Tuchanka, it's like, oh yeah, there used to be massive cities. There used to be like this huge modern society here, but they all either destroyed themselves over it or the Genophage, made it so it was no longer sustainable. But you never really get like a really clear picture of what Krogan society was like.
Well, they say very specifically that they are the ones who destroyed it.
Right. Like they did it to themselves.
Yeah.
But even then, like I know there's the scene. Oh well, you know what? I might be jumping ahead to Mass Effect 3.
It's easy to get those all mixed together.
I'll keep my mouth shut. Anyways, yeah, Krogan.
They focused on 2 people.
But you do bring up a point. You do bring up a good point, which is that did they do it to themselves, or because Morden says, he goes, if the Solarians had not given them the technology that they gave them at the time to bring them into the Rachni War,
right?
Would they have
eventually
have grown past?
Yeah. Well,
was it? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it's super interesting because, like, something Bill brought up earlier with the Solarians is how it was really cool. Not a lot of sci-fi does this, where you have, a race that is shorter lived than humans, and it's really cool. They have, to have a race that shows, like, humans were the latest species to join Citadel space, right?
Right.
And so it was interesting to have a race that like was forced into it way before they're ready. Like it's another one of those outlooks on like what happens. You see in Star Trek all the time. Where they talk about staying hands off and not bringing people forward before they're ready. And like you kind of get a look at what happens if you do that. Like it's just every outlook on what can happen in sci-fi is kind of covered by different species. And it's super.
That's why you got to follow the Prime Directive, guys. You got to follow the Prime Directive.
Amen.
It's like Leper and I were talking about this the other day. That was like Krogans are very interesting to look at because it's like we were comparing them to the Klingons.
Yeah.
In Star Trek.
Yes.
Because it's like they're both races that are just like, I gotta fight something. I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like your value is dependent on how strong you are.
You can definitely see the Klingon comparison with the Krogans in Mass Effect. Ooh, who would be the Vulcans in Mass Effect?
That's
Solarians.
No,
sorry.
Vulcan? Yeah, sorry. I'd say the Asari.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the Asari would be closer.
Yeah, they're definitely the like space elves. We live forever, and we're all knowing and better, and
and we have these philosophies and principles, and And you got the Justicars who are just
Can't wait to
like,
talk about that in the Mass Effect 3 one.
I know it's gonna be good.
I will say this real quick, at the risk of Trekkies coming after me, but Krogans are better than Klingons. Because
they're
Mass
alien
Effect did
T-Rexes.
Yeah.
Mass Effect did
How
a
can
way
you not?
better job of writing the dynamic of a violent race having to deal with other races and their cultures than Star Trek did.
I'll agree
they
with
did
that.
it way better.
Twitch.tv/Bluelazor, folks. Go ahead. If you're angry, go ahead and go over there and leave some comments.
Free viewerships!
Yay!
Before we get too far afield, I just want to bring up the symbolism of Rex sitting on a throne of rubble.
Yes.
Like, so cool that he's just like, he's sitting on a throne.
And it's not
rubble.
in like a special room. It's just out in the open. It's just a separate
No!
It's
thing.
in a literal hole in the ground. It's in a crater.
Yeah. Like, how cool is that?
It's
like,
just so good.
They're basically, they're a post-apocalyptic society.
Yes.
That is really cool. That they're like, and it's been hundreds of years, and they're like, nah, fam, we're good.
Yeah. We'd rather just, well, and that's the cool thing with Rex is he's trying to, bring everything together and try to move forward in the way that you should. And so it's interesting to see where that goes.
Quite honestly, I think a magnificent throne is out of character for Rex.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, it would not fit him.
I'd like to think that they had a room and he's like, nah, just, I don't know, and just picked up a couple rocks and was like, nah, I'll just sit here, guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think Grunt is better in the context when he's compared with Rex, right?
Yes.
If you came into Mass Effect 2 without playing Mass Effect 1, I think you would miss a lot of the things that make Grunt cool.
Yes.
And Grunt like a good character. Because when you compare him to Rex, and you're getting that Grunt is so much younger, and he's not an established warrior, he's not as confident about himself, but you can kind of see what he can become.
Yes.
Through Rex, it makes him so cool.
Well, let's go ahead and talk over here about Mr. Thane Krios, the fish assassin.
So cool.
Who also came on to my shepherd.
Yeah, well, obviously. I mean, have you seen your shepherd? Like, let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't hit on that? Her. She is fiery. She looks like she was in a fire for a long time hot.
So true.
I'm surprised. I wouldn't expect Thane to be romantical because he seems to be so, like, my interactions with him is like he is, like, especially because of that perfect memory that they have.
Mm-hmm.
He still is, like, so in love with his wife.
Until he meets you.
I guess.
He just locks eyes with my shepherd, her beautiful purple eyes, and it's all over.
Her sunset-colored eyes.
Yes.
Yep. Her sunburned skin.
Lovely, luscious locks.
Yep. The way the skin cancer just puffs up her cheeks.
I would say I think Thane is probably on the lower end of companions.
Really?
For me.
Interesting.
I did like his loyalty mission. And like the perfect recall memory is kind of interesting, but I don't know. I just felt like he nothing in his backstory was like ever super interesting to me.
Ooh. Interesting.
And then
really?
Game mechanics wise, I didn't think he was super useful as a squad mate either. I didn't like, I'd always do the loyalty missions and everything, right? But like I don't know. Thane just never really clicked with me.
I took Thane on the last mission with me, like the very end.
Yeah.
And he did so much damage because I was out of ammo.
Like Fudd was.
I don't know what you mean at all. I didn't spend the whole last fight running around screaming, "Where are the bullets?" And then it ended, and my guy looked down, and there's a pile right in front of him, and I was like, "No!" that doesn't happen.
I just never found the bullets, and then I had kind of that same thing where I'm like, maybe there's some around this arena somewhere.
What's up, buddy? I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah, it's like
Good job.
Yeah, I was the same way.
More to go.
I honestly, I really enjoyed talking to Thane. Like, I found myself going back to him, hoping that he would have another thing to say about his past and have that episode where he's going down memory lane, because it was just so cool to watch that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, from some, I'm gonna bring it up again like I did the last time. I've played Dragon Age Inquisition. I love that one. And Thane's episodes reminded me so much of Cole.
Yes.
Whenever he was getting into the emotions of someone. So it's like I kept going back to that because it's like I just love those episodes so much.
Oh yeah. Well, and his voice is really freaking cool. I want him to read me a book. But like the whole backstory of his race, like almost collapsing, and the Hanar only saved like a few thousand of them, and like, you know, and you always look at the Hanar as this weird, they just the floating tentacle people, you know, but like because they couldn't do stuff.
Talked to one ever, except maybe Mass Effect 1.
You can talk to a couple of Mass Effect 1. I don't think you even see one in the second game.
I don't think so.
But
sorry,
I
which
saw
race?
some jellyfish people on the Citadel.
Oh, the Hanar.
The
Yeah,
Hanar,
no, there's some Hanar in 2 for sure. Yeah, there's some Hanar on the Citadel in 2.
There's one right in the dock of.
You're right. Of the Citadel.
Well, don't they introduce Blasto in Mass Effect 2? Isn't the very first Blasto quest in the Citadel?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, okay.
I did pretty much all the missions and never ran into Blasto.
But
I don't think I remember a jellyfish mission.
The fact that they get picked up, taken to the Hanar homeworld, which the Hanar homeworld is killing them also, and so they have to find ways to survive in this homeworld, and then they get this, you know, the whole aspect of like, is this right? Is this wrong? You know, learning to become assassins at a young age and signing contracts that are technically slavery, but they're more than happy to serve. And it was like, it was just such a fascinating, like, we don't have a home world and there's like only a few of us left. That's why you don't run into very many of us. It was really cool.
It was. I really liked him from the jump.
Yeah. Well, yeah, his introduction was one of the best cutscenes in the game.
Well, and then having that interaction with that same lady that I did the side quest for, like, that is one that Mass Effect, like, I never realized how intricate each game is and how it builds so heavily on the choices. And that's why, like, I can get why people would be upset with the ending of the third. You know, I know we're jumping ahead.
We won't get there.
I'm not going to say anything other than I can get why, since it only breaks it down into 2 choices. Like, you've built an entire history, you've built up so much, and then to have it just be a binary choice, that I get why people would be upset.
I don't know the ending, and you just ruined part of it. Okay, thank you.
I didn't ruin anything.
She had no idea that there was like, Jesus, Russ.
Yeah, what if there were more? This whole time I was like, there's maybe more than 2 choices, and now you're like, oh, there's only 2. I'm like, oh, well, that's disappointing.
Okay, the game is like 10 years old.
Yeah, and
you've never played it
either. But I've seen so many videos. Like, I know. That's how I know. If you haven't come across spoilers yet, then you've been living under a rock.
Back to Mass Effect 2.
Anyway, what we're doing now.
Do that.
Let's hit the DLC, which you guys didn't know were DLC characters, but these were not in the original launch and then came out later as DLC. But Zaid Masani, our old stitched face mercenary supreme.
I wish we got more dialogue with him.
Yeah.
I would say that about both the DLC characters. I think they're both really interesting, but they were not fleshed out to the same level as the core.
I agree.
No, they weren't.
Disappointing.
Well, the other thing that gets me is like, and we'll talk to her about her in a second, but Kasumi's loyalty mission is 1,000,000,000 times better than Zaid's. Zaid's was like an insanely basic mission with like kind of one option that is either Renegade or Paragon, and that's it. And hers is this whole intricate. It's a much longer, mission with so many different things going on. So I definitely feel like they kind of dropped the ball on how cool Zaid is. Although when you're doing the Archangel mission, if you bring Zaid with you, that's really cool because he knows all the leaders of all the other mercenary groups, and there's some cool dialogue with that.
Oh, I don't think I did that. I think I got Zaid after I did, because I always get Garrus first.
Well, he's standing in the hallway when you first get onto Omega. Like, it's impossible not to get him first.
Oh, okay. So the only time I played with Zaid was the last time I played. So
okay, got you.
Okay,
yeah.
Maybe I just didn't think to do that. Then
do it again. Take Zaid with you. It's cool.
I think I took him with me this time. I think it was him and Miranda I took with me. Is what it was.
Mm-hmm. I would have taken him with me. I didn't know where he was. I saw the journal entry that was like, "Oh, meet this person in Omega." I was like, "Where the heck is he?" And I was running back and forth, and then I was like, "Oh, he's at the end of the hallway."
You first
come off of the ship.
Yeah. But yeah, cool voice, cool face.
You literally come up on him as he's questioning some guy. Help me! No, you're on your own.
I would definitely agree. He has the weakest loyalty mission, though.
Yeah,
where it's just like, run around some rooms and shoot some guys.
Well, although in his defense, choosing to not save the people is so satisfying. Hearing them scream as they burn alive, is just so great.
I did that because
I think we found our renegade.
Yep.
Oh no, I did it. I did the same thing because I saved it. I'm like, nope, y'all can die this time. I'm not saving you.
Yep.
Let's go.
See, I was
Gator's evil like me.
Oh yeah.
I played him a little like Han Solo. My Shepard ended up being a little Han Solo-esque, where he was mostly Paragon, but he usually shot first.
Yeah.
And wasn't afraid to headbutt somebody or punch them in the face.
Yeah, that's usually the approach I take with my Shepards, is like, do good, but take no shit. It's
kick somebody out a window.
Yeah, if someone deserves to be thrown out a window, they're going out that window for sure.
I compared my Shepard to Fudd's last night when he was playing. I sent him a screenshot of mine. I was a little bit behind him in Paragon, or excuse me, in Renegade. And I was a little bit ahead of him in Paragon, but I was more Renegade than Paragon. Yeah,
I've never done a pure Renegade playthrough.
It's
just because,
fun.
I feel like it just makes you such an asshole, though.
It does, which is fun.
But you get so much better, the dialogue actions. You get so much better dialogue actions as a Renegade. I took those every chance I got.
Oh my god, yes. When you're climbing up the tower to get to Thane, the best. Yeah. And I've got nothing else to say to you, and you throw them out the window. How about bye? You're like, yep. This is my man now.
Or the Krogan guy who's monologuing, you just shoot the gas line. Yeah.
So
the Renegade interrupts are definitely way better.
Yes, they are.
So other DLC character, we have Kasumi Gato, who was, I think, way more interesting than Zaid. I wish, again, she was more fleshed out. I still had fun talking to her on the ship because she had little quips about everybody and whatever was going on, which was fun. But yeah, she seemed really interesting, and I really wish they dug into her more. And I get it was just an added DLC thing, but very fascinating person.
Yeah, it killed me because it's
sorry, go ahead.
It's like you do her loyalty mission, and then she's sitting looking out the space. You can open and close her shutter so she can look out the ship, and she just does quips. There's no dialogue of learning any more about her.
Yeah.
After the loyalty mission. So,
I never even got any quips. She always just said, "You got a second Shepard?"
Oh, really? Yeah, I always had.
Shepard?
She talked about everyone on the ship.
Oh yeah. If you went and talked to her in a room, yeah.
My favorite one is after I finished the game, I went and talked to her. Right, obviously, when you have, special time with Miranda, it's in the engine room, right? And so I went to talk to Kasumi at the end, and she just looks at my ship and goes, "Really? The engine room? That's where Tali works." Hilarious.
I didn't know she did that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah,
I did enjoy the uniqueness of her loyalty mission, the whole non-combat stealth kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's very unique, through the whole trilogy, and it worked out really well too.
Cool heist mission. Yeah.
In her loyalty mission, how many times, and I've done it every time I play, for some reason I freaking forget that you can shoot the damn window to get in from the outside.
Gosh.
I always stand there for a couple minutes. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here again? And I'm like, oh, break the window. Got it. But I always get up there and I'm like, I can't go no further. I can't. Where the hell am I going? I can't.
Because you don't really shoot a window any other time in the game.
Yeah, any other time.
When you do, it doesn't break.
Blue was playing and she's like, I'm watching her. I'm like, I'm gonna give her a little time. Okay. Yep. I finally in the chat. I'm like, shoot the window. She's like, huh? Shoot the window you're in front of. She's like, oh. I'm like, yep, I did the same thing. Pisses me off.
I don't remember a window.
When you're having to break into his office to get all the other stuff, you like jump off the balcony in the party. And there's those two guys
go around the outside of the building.
Then you shoot a window, and that's when you jump in.
I didn't do that.
Maybe he didn't.
There's no other way into his apartment.
Yeah, no, there is.
I think you can also... Sorry, go ahead.
You go... so you find a communication thing, then Kasumi is able to hack into their communications, and she's able to say that you have permission to enter his apartment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think
that's
I just
what I
shot
did.
the guard. I think you can just shoot the guard and it doesn't like set off an alarm or anything.
I didn't have any weapons at that point, so I didn't shoot him.
Interesting. Yeah, I've always gone out on the balcony and over.
Yeah, that's what I've always done, yeah.
No, you could do that. I always... Yeah. I ran around, found some stuff. I went through like the security checkpoint, killed those guys in there.
Yeah.
And then you can... on
maybe
one of
that's
the,
what I'm thinking of. Okay.
On one of the terminals, she can hack into their communications network, and then when you go and talk to the guy, you say, I've got permission to be in there. And he checks back with the boss, and Kasumi goes, yeah, he's got permission. Just let him through, and you can just walk into the apartment.
Huh. That's pretty cool. I've never done that. Look at that. That's what I love about Mass Effect is we can all have different
something
experiences.
New every day.
Exactly. Yeah. Her mission, super cool. And then Samara, really cool. Another look at the Asari, much older, matriarch, very by the book. Here are the rules. One of my favorite things with her is like towards the end when you can like become really good friends with her. It's super fun. She's like, I really enjoy our talks. I spend so much time alone. And she's like, thank you so much for being such a good friend to me during all this. I want you to know that the second this is over, I have to kill you for a lot of things you did. And I was like, oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. But I've really enjoyed our talks.
Let me sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
See, I was mostly Paragon, so she's pretty chill with me.
Yeah.
She was more than chill with me.
See, I tried to romance her because I was like, I was thinking maybe her or Tali.
Yeah.
Can you romance Samara?
You sort of
can.
I know you can romance Morinth.
You can become like more than a best friend, but less than a lover, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a romance. It's not a romancy romance, if that makes sense.
Huh. Okay.
Well, she said to me, "I'm way past those feelings." I was like, "All right," but then she gave me the look.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I was like, "All right. You sure you're past them?"
But yeah, her, getting to look at that other side of the, the Asari lore and, what they are as the like very, I give up like a warrior monk almost, I give up who I am as my name, who I am as a person in the past. I'm all about, the laws, the rules, my mantras, everything. And this is all that there is when you reach a certain age. And the fact that like they never leave Asari space really. So like you run into a bunch of stuff where she's like, I've never experienced this ever. And you're like, this is pretty cool.
I really liked that her loyalty mission was, again, kind of like Kasumi's, where it's vastly different.
Yes.
Like it's all dialogue. I mean, I guess unless you mess it up, for me, it was just all dialogue as I'm trying to say the right things to Morinth to get her where we need her to be.
That's true. Yeah, you don't really fire a shot at all, really, her whole mission, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I just got to say, how boring are the people on Omega? Because it did not take me long at all to be interesting.
No.
I mean, you are Commander Shepard. Like, you do have a reputation, right?
Yeah, but it was like, I talked to like 2 people and she's like, hey, I've noticed you. And you're like, whoa, like, all right. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
At least 3. I had to do at least 3.
I think there's like
the guy.
Yeah.
The best thing on Mega, Blue can attest to it, is going to the bar and see how much you can drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And getting poisoned by the racist guy and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And then noting how the liquid magically appears in the bottle and then it magically disappears.
Oh yes.
I really loved the mission with the Krogan. The
Patriarch?
Patriarch.
Yeah.
What'd
What'd you do with that?
Mission. I convinced him to stick around, so I took care of the people that were coming after him. And then I convinced him to stick around and like leverage his position. Like there's still more to live for, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, I
told him you are Krogan. You need to step up.
Exactly.
That's what I did too.
I did the same thing. I said, I was like, go do it, get killed. Yeah, fun.
And he went down in a blaze of glory, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. I went with the renegade. I went with the renegade option.
I mean, Arya is a great character that was introduced in
Arya is awesome
too. And just you get a lot of really cool background information from her. I don't think there's not any other there's not much else like exposure to the like non-Citadel space societies of Mass Effect other than on Omega. Like people that live beyond what's going on in the Citadel. You don't really see any of that. Or the species you encounter are like very primitive, and basically don't have anything. But yeah, like Omega and Arya are like the one place kind of in Mass Effect where you ever see that, which was, kind of a shame that there's like, they don't go into that as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when they do, I mean, yeah, Omega is really fascinating, and Arya's background in it, and what could maybe be in the future.
I just love that she's voiced by the same girl that was in The Matrix, Carrie Ann Moss. That's why I like about Arya.
Oh
yeah. I like. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I guess I didn't know that either, but that makes sense. The voice sounds right.
I recognized the voice. I was like, hold on, I know this voice. I had to look it up.
I wish you could romance her. We'll get into another talking point here, though. Russ, you had mentioned earlier while we're discussing all these characters we love, though, but you were mentioning before we started recording some of these mechanics that you really were not enjoying. We're doing nothing but talking positives about storytelling and everything, but also, it's a third-person cover-based, air quotes, cover-based shooter from 2010.
Yeah.
What was stressing you out, man?
But look, it's definitely an improvement on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Like it's a big improvement. At first I was like, wait, there's no loot, right?
Yeah.
There are other weapons that you can pick up through the mission.
And armor
and
pieces.
I kind of like that you kept them, right? These are things that now they're just permanent. Like you're not just upgrading to the next one, breaking these down. Like I actually thought that was pretty cool. It seemed like they tried to go like a more realistic route,
more streamlined.
I appreciated that if my shield went away and it went into my health, that I didn't have to then replenish my health. It just recharged over time. That was an improvement for me. But it was just the cover mechanics just weren't quite there. Like it took me forever to realize that when I ran into cover, he would go into cover. I was inevitably always pressing the button again, so I'd pop back up, and then they'd go.
Yeah.
And I was like, dead. So there were a lot of things, or like, because they were trying to make it more realistic, they didn't have cover in places. So you'd be like walking down a hallway, and it would be like, there's 30 guys here. Where do I go? I'm just in the middle of this hallway, and this is a cover shooter. So if you're not in cover, you're going to die.
Unless you got like the Mattock rifle and adrenaline rush, then they're all dead in the hallway in 3 seconds.
Well, and I mean, like, there are things where like it made me like, oh, I need to be more cautious going through doorways.
Yeah.
Like I need to post up on the side and be like, okay,
what's going on?
Let me check my sight lines. Let me investigate this room before I just walk into it. So it's a little more tactical. But when you go directly from Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2, because Mass Effect, I mean tactical kind of, but they just had like cover in places.
Yeah, I
think like when you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think in Mass Effect I went into cover maybe twice the whole game, like the first game.
Yeah,
like you just never do it.
I mean,
it was so clunky to do it. It's easier to just like stand behind something and not actually engage the cover mechanic. Yeah,
I do wish they had kept the crouch.
Yes, I do miss crouch.
That was kind of annoying because it would have been nice to be able to crouch and just creep, like you guys were saying, creep up behind some cover or move to the next cover without necessarily exposing myself completely. Because there was a lot of, I'm going to try to run to this cover. Oh no, I'm dead.
You'll like 3. You'll love 3.
Yeah, you will.
I won't say anything
also,
more.
Probing.
Blue, do you have some thoughts on probing planets?
Probing Uranus.
Probing was so much fun, and I got really addicted to it. And Gator disappoints me because he did not play the game as they intended.
I have probed enough in that game. I was not doing it this time. I
also love the probing mechanic. It just it satisfies my OCD of like scanning every single planet in like the same methodical pattern.
Oh yeah, it's so soothing.
I have probed planets in Mass Effect 2.
Yes.
Probably 15 to 19 times. So when when last podcast, when Deadbin Malone mentioned there was a mod, to let you just send one probe to a planet and you get all the resources and move on to the next. I'd forgotten until Gator re-mentioned it. I don't mod games ever, so it took me forever to figure out how to do it, but I was like, I'm going to do this. And can I say, what an incredible... If you start the game, you have to probe things normally. Okay? You have to go through the trenches before you can download a mod eventually and just shoot one at the planet and go. It's so nice.
Yes. It was so nice.
I enjoyed it. I get that it's super tedious. I mean, I can understand why people don't like it. I think it's a good way to add, make it so that you really have to explore the map for the resources you need to do upgrades, right? It's not just like you just don't get them instantly. You actually have to look around. I don't know. I found it as a good way it was a way to get you to explore the map and to go to different planets.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It is a good way to do that. I just didn't want to do it this time. That's the only thing. I just didn't want to go through that part. It just seems slow. Because I'm like,
well, you're not wearing your headphones.
I'm like Blue. I want to explore. My OCD kicks in. I'm like, I want every planet at 100%. I did not want to sit there and spin every planet slowly, waiting for the damn thing to go up to go, oh, yep, fire one here. Yep, fire one here. I found the mod, installed it, boom, beautiful. One shot.
I mean, if the planets rotated a little faster, it wouldn't be so bad. But it's always just like, times I'm sitting there just going, turn, just turn, please turn now, turn, please.
Well, and it was so cool when you one shot it. If there was an anomaly, it found it, and you could just go land and go investigate it. Yeah.
You're gonna say Blue?
I was gonna say Fudd will really get this, but it's like every time I went to prod a planet and it would start turning, my brain just instantly went, "Let me spin the planet, princess! Spin it faster!"
But the cool thing with Mass Effect 2, and this is tough because Russ would probably have stuff to say about this, which he's having audio issues.
I can hear you guys now.
Oh,
I do not know. Can you guys hear that?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
can you hear that?
Hear what?
No, we don't hear it.
So the headphones, it caught the last thing that you were saying, and so now all it's doing is going.
That's not good.
Will not shut off.
Fun fact, it's not supposed to do that.
Probably got to reset the headset.
Yeah.
You think? Yeah, it won't turn off. Or I would reset the headset.
Yeah. Well,
and this is why I don't have wireless headsets.
But what were you going to say, Fudd?
Anyway, what I was going to say is I forgot I always forget every time I come back because I just remember all the loyalty missions and the main missions and stuff. But like the amount of times an anomaly is detected, and it's like actually a really cool fleshed out side mission that pops up with like sometimes there's a really cool cutscene at the end that you're like, where did this come from? I was going to write it down and then I was like, no, I won't forget it. And I forgot it. But there's one particular mission that like really added to the story, and it was randomly discovered on a planet somewhere, and like introduced a character that shows up later and like has this huge cutscene at the end that really
is it the one with
on.
You go to the planet and they connected him with the Geth, so he's like he's autistic.
No, that's an actual like on the map
DLCs,
mission. That's
right?
a DLC. Yeah. Project Overlord.
Yeah,
that was really good.
That was cool. I don't like the Firewalker. I'm not a fan of the Firewalker. All those missions were kind of like.
Oh, like the jumping ship?
Jumping ship thingy. And like Firelord was really cool. Or Overlord was cool, minus all the sections where you're having to run on the little ship. It felt like those missions were made by a completely different studio, if that makes sense.
They probably were.
Yeah. It just felt very weird. But like Russ was saying, though, the actual Overlord mission itself with the guy that gets plugged directly into the Geth and everything is fascinating. And the brother telling you one thing, and you get to the guy and he's all hooked up with tubes coming out of his mouth and his eyes are like sewn wide open.
Crying.
Yeah, that shit's tough.
Because he still feels shit.
That one really
Wait, so there are
me.
random missions that you can come across when you're scanning planets?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if you went through and 100% scanned every planet, there was random missions that pop up.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah. I'm just telling you that if you had, there were some really cool missions that popped up that like you'd never experience if you didn't.
Next time, what I'll do is I'll just look up which planets.
Yeah.
Because probing was not my favorite.
Yeah.
Like it was okay, but the amount of times that you have to do it to get the upgrades, I'm like.
So I want to get into something here. Blue, you mentioned that mission, the Overlord mission, really bothered you. Let's get into that.
It really bothered me when they were going on and on about how like autism is a disability. And he was acting like it was okay to treat his brother that way because he's autistic. And I'm like, no, that does not justify it. That does not justify it at all.
Yeah, and that's part of the story of the mission.
That was kind of the point.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, is for you to go, no, or to be dumb and stupid and be like, yeah, no, do what you need to do. But yeah, that's the whole premise is going, dude, you're really wrong. Like, this is awful and disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like during the final cutscene where he's like talking about that, and it's leading up to you deciding, whether
which way to go. Yeah,
which way to go. I was spam clicking the renegade interrupt button because I was like, please let me punch him in the face.
Right trigger,
shoot him.
right trigger, right
Yeah.
trigger, right trigger, right trigger.
Well, and I think they knew because you do. Like, there's a point, or you either punch him in the face or you pull a gun on him or something.
You pull a gun on him. Yeah. Well, and again, with the writing, like the fact that it bothered you so much because it's well written, like. It's just like, yeah, of course, at first, like, oh, yeah, I get what this guy's talking about. I'm with him. And then as slowly as the story and that mission progresses, you go, oh, no, this is a lot different. And then it just very quickly gets worse and worse and worse. And I'm the same way. You're just like, can I just shoot him in the face like right now, please?
It's like, I'd like to bring up is... while you're going through some of the areas and like doors would randomly shut and you couldn't go that way, so you had to go a different route. It's like every time that happened, I was like, okay, GLaDOS. I didn't realize I was playing Portal right now.
I didn't want that to happen. That's funny.
Yeah. But no, that mission really, by the end of it, you're just like, if I didn't need you, I would have done killed you. I'd have done put a bullet in your head and been done.
Yeah. Well, and that's another one of those, like we were talking about earlier, where the elusive man's like, I had no idea things had gotten that bad.
Right. Like, he doesn't want a hand waving.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. But can we talk for a second while we're talking about the elusive man? Can we talk about his voice actor?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
of
Martin
course.
Sheen is
He's
Yeah,
so
incredible.
good.
It's Martin Sheen.
Greed
Yeah.
is
an
good.
American treasure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just and his delivery, like, because a lot of times when you get like a big actor and they're in a video game, they're kind of like,
I'm here.
I'm here and
It's
I'm
me.
They phone it
delivering
in,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
line.
But like, yeah, no, Martin Sheen definitely like absolutely 100% like sold the elusive man. Like,
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
You love to hate him.
really got into the character. Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you love to hate him, but it's like he's also one of those good villains where like you do completely understand his motivations. Right? Like they're not evil for the sake
Yeah.
of being evil.
Yeah, well, he was very he was understandable. Like even when you're going, that doesn't quite sound right. There was part of me that was going, he makes a good point,
Yes. Yeah.
but wow, like you are willing to do some shady stuff, my man.
Well, that's because every time he'd come forward and when you'd argue and he'd be like, I've been upfront with you the whole time, you're like, damn,
No,
he
you
kind of has
haven't.
been, but also has not been.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's both. Where you could easily see how someone like Miranda would be like, yeah, this guy's the guy.
Well, he was
very good at
the
manipulating.
epitome of what
Yes.
his name was. He was elusive.
Elusive. Yes.
Like, because you never know quite, can I trust this guy? Can I not trust him? Is he like doing this with good intentions? Is he not? Is he being upfront with me? Is he not? But the end where he's like, I made you, and you're like, yeah, sure,
Mhm.
all right, buddy.
My
I'm gonna do it my way now. This is my ship. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
My thing with him though is it was like he justifies it going, I am doing all of this for the sake of humanity. I'm doing this for us. But it was like I'm seeing all the stuff that he does, what Cerberus is doing, and I'm like, if we're willing to lose our humanity to win this fight, then the enemy has already won. So
it's
why are we even
it's another
fighting?
one of those like villain points too, and it does come up a lot. But Mass Effect did do it well, where it's like, oh yeah, the villain is like, I'm doing all these things to help you and help our people and blah 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 and all these things. But it's like, my immediate reaction for a lot of those villains is like, well, nobody asked.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you just came to this conclusion on your own.
Yeah.
And you now think you're the only person that can solve the world's problems or the galaxy's problems or solve this big thing, but nobody asked you to. Right.
Yeah.
And
that's my
that's
point.
kind of always the approach I've taken with the elusive man, where he's like, yeah, he's just some guy that's like up on his high horse, that
I'm
thinks
the
he
savior.
has the answer to everything.
Yeah.
It's like he's asking you to do all of this stuff, and at one point he even risks your life and the life of your crew. And then he's like, we're doing this for everyone, and like praise me and stuff. And I'm like, you're not risking anything. You're just sitting in your chair, wherever this chair is.
Well, like when you get sent on
you're
that,
risking your bank account.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you get put on that one collector ship for the mission and it's a trap and he knew it was a trap, like there's a big part of it was like, you could have just told us and we would have done it anyway. Like going into it knowing it was a trap wouldn't have changed the outcome. Like if you knew it, just telling me, I still would have done it. Like I just would have been prepared. It was the whole fact of just being like, nah, I need you to just not know because it makes sense in my brain.
Right. The fact that like oh crap, I just had this great thing in my head.
Bravo.
Right. It's like he thinks he knows better than you, and then he says to trust him, but then he doesn't give you a reason to. For stuff like that, like when he, allows you to be like continuously walking to ambushes and stuff and never gives you the full picture, even though he expects you to help him and do his bidding with no context, which is like, yeah, not cool, bro.
But you still like him. He's still cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you understand, like, because I think he is trying to do this in a way, but I think I think he's trying to do a good thing, right? In that I'm protecting humanity, but he also has that edge of like definitely xenophobic of like, no, humanity has to be number one, but also kind of accumulating power to himself of like, humanity's going to be number one, but I'm going to be number oneerist.
Yeah. Number oneerist, yeah. What's that whole like? I want to save everyone, but I want to make sure everyone knows I'm the one that saved everyone.
Yeah.
I want the credit.
Yeah, and that's not the reason to save everyone.
But he doesn't really like. He's not really looking for credit. He just wants the power.
Yeah,
that comes with it, right? Because Shepard is his right. This is the face, but I'm going to be in the back, little puppet master.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm pulling the strings.
He's a politician.
So my question, if we could talk about it, if you want to talk about it now, when you had a choice to choose to blow up the collector base or save it, what did you do?
I blew it the fuck up.
I think I always blown it up, yeah.
I have always blown it up. This time I chose to save it to see how it affects Mass Effect 3.
Oh.
Have you?
I want to see what it does to Mass Effect 3 because I'm like you guys. I have always chose to blow it up.
Have you, because you have the option to just continue playing right after the mission, right? Have you continued and gone to talk to everyone in your crew yet?
I think I did. I don't remember. I think I talked to everybody.
Okay, if you choose to keep it, and then you continue and you go talk to everyone in the crew is like, "Are you serious, you big dumb idiot? Why would you do like the whole crew hates you for choosing to keep it? It's hilarious."
Hey, I'm going renegade. If you want to hate me, hate me.
Yeah.
So it seems like we're getting close to the end here. So do we want to end by talking about the last mission and who
I'd
saved
love to.
what?
Yeah. Well, and this is interesting. You know, you have many games where you have like a suicide mission, right? But how intricate the mechanics of how this last mission works. We're dependent on how you talk to everyone. If you do loyalty missions, if you upgrade the ship, if you talk to people enough where they give you an idea to upgrade your ship, if you choose the correct people for different sections of the mission, like things can go, half the crew can die in the cutscene before you even start the mission if you don't do everything correctly. It is such a, I haven't experienced a game that had such an intricate
wait, guys.
Way of doing
Before
this.
we talk about the final mission, we need to talk about Legion.
I was gonna say we hadn't.
We haven't talked about Legion.
That's true.
I would say he is my favorite squad mate in Mass Effect 2.
Which is interesting because you only get him the last 5% of the game.
Don't have him very long, but he gives such an interesting perspective, right? And how, especially coming from Mass Effect 1, where like the Geth are the bad guys, like 100%, the Geth are the bad guys, and then all of a sudden you meet this Geth that's like, well, no, that was just some Geth, and we actually are like real, like have a real society and things going on. It's not just it's just not all just evil robots, right?
Okay, so he's Legion. There are 1,000 some odd that are part of him, right? But that's not all the Geth.
No, it was like 1,000 that are connected to this unit right now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like it's just 1,000 connected to that particular...
At that moment, I think is what it specifically said.
Right.
Okay. Because that was what I was curious about. I was like, that is not a lot of Geth. Like, is that all that's left after, you know...
The other ones, yeah.
Yeah. Or was it just they're a much smaller sect of the Geth where those who follow the Reapers are a much larger piece?
Well, that's the whole premise of the loyalty mission, right? Is like, do you rewrite the heretic Geth or do you delete them?
Yeah.
And like the fact that there was no consensus for which path is the right path, and so therefore Shepard must make the choice.
Yeah. I chose to rewrite.
I think I always rewrite too, because it just seems like, it seems like the total destruction is too cruel.
Yeah, it's the same reason I didn't kill the Rachni, because it's like I don't know if my Shepard would be all about genocide.
Right, it's like
I killed them.
It's not up to Shepard to end. To commit genocide. It's not up to Shepard to commit genocide. Especially with the Geths, where it's like, they say it's like, oh yeah, they can be rewritten, and then they can join us. But it's like they've already demonstrated though that it's like there could be another thing that happens in the future where they can't reach a consensus and there's a breakaway group, right? So it's like, or there's a conflict that internal dialogue that needs to occur, right? So yeah, it's not right for you to just delete them just because they had this one disagreement.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this one disagreement that led to them bringing the Reapers in and killing.
It's kind of a big disagreement. Yeah.
Well, no, the
It's kind
Geth
of a
didn't
huge
bring the
deal.
Reapers in. Like the Reapers were coming, and
Well,
the
sure.
Geth
but they
were
helped
allied with
a
them.
lot.
And they accelerated a lot.
Not
of
all
Yeah.
of them, just some.
So
Again,
I
my
do want to
being-
know Legion's loyalty mission. Who brought Tali with them?
I did, of course.
Oh yeah, I always
absolutely. You
bring
bring Tali.
I
on that
should
one.
have.
Yep,
I really
Tali
should.
was with me.
Fast. The amount of
Yeah.
time she was like, obviously, you know, would be very negative about them, but every once in a while was just like, I can't believe you guys can build this kind of technology. Like, this is fascinating. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Grun did
And
make
like-
a comment
and like-
of like, now this is how you build a ship.
Yeah.
Or being able to show Tali that they are not just mindless robots, right? And like, yeah, there is a true society and a different form of life and consciousness that exists within them, right? How you don't need a physical body and a physical individual to exist, essentially.
Yeah.
You can
Well-
exist outside of a physical construct of a
It's
body
really
or what have
fascinating
you.
coming directly from Tali's loyalty mission,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like, okay, we were experimenting on the Geth. And then that was the approach that I took, like, because you have that interaction between the two of them when you come back to the ship.
Right.
That was like, hey, look, you guys have both done some stuff. How about we just let bygones be bygones?
Yeah, but did you have the option to stop them? That's the question.
I did too.
Ask Fudd how his went. Tali and
Pretty
Legion
good, though.
arguing.
Oh, yeah. So this brought up the fact that Gator sent me his Renegade Paragon bars is when they're arguing after the mission, after you finish the loyalty mission for one Legion. I didn't have the Renegade option, which allows you to diffuse the situation and make both people like you, even though I was almost full Renegade.
Paragon? Oh,
He
there's a
was
Renegade
more
option.
Renegade than me.
I was more
I was
Renegade
more
than
Paragon.
him. He was more
And
Paragon.
I had the option. Yeah.
He had the option having not even half Paragon to do the Paragon option, and I was almost full Renegade, and it didn't give me the Renegade option.
Yeah,
and I
his
was,
was grayed
pissed.
out.
So
I
I
had
was
the
too.
Paragon one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we go into the last mission. I don't realize that Legion is not loyal to me anymore because of that conversation.
Oh.
And so Legion's dead for me.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
trying to remember. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't do Legion's mission until after the last mission.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
Because there's a countdown timer, and you lose more of the crew if you go and do his mission.
Yeah. Which I
Right.
did because it's fun to watch Chocolates get mad at me and then diffuse the situation.
I think the
Yeah.
only the only squad mate I've ever lost on the loyalty mission was Thane. Because
Oh, really?
I had him. I think I put him as like a squad leader or something for one of the decisions when I guess you're supposed to pick like one of the more tactical
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
people like Garrus or
Miranda.
or something.
Miranda. But I'm
Yeah.
like, well, he's like an assassin. He's like a commando and like knows his shit, right? Like in combat. So like, yeah.
But he always works
honestly,
alone.
That was like the first time I played. It was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, well Thane makes sense here. So I pick Thane, and he gets fucking shot and dies. So I did appreciate that though. How it's like, yeah, you really have to think about like
Every
Right.
decision, yeah.
what squad mates you need in certain situations. And some it's like really obvious, like, oh yeah, you need a bionic here, or you need a tech person here. But yeah, I think it's cool though how for the last mission they do make it where it's not always super obvious who you need in what role.
Mhm. And I remember the first time I played through it, I lost, some people and everything. I'm like, I wonder if these, and I Google, can you survive? Can everybody survive? And I found the thing that said, this is how you make everybody survive. I'm like, oh, fuck that. Back to my save, reload it. Everybody's living. I'm not losing anybody. I'm like,
Yeah,
God,
My first playthrough, I think I lost like half the crew in like before you even land on the ship. So it's in that, which is me and Bluelazor were talking about it. It's an incredible cinematic where when you go through the Omega 4 relay and you're swerving through everything and you're getting shot at by all the little drones and the ship, the big collector ship hits you and everything. When the camera like pans to someone in your ship and it's shaking and they're looking around, if you don't have a specific upgrade, that person dies in that moment in the cutscene.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So there's, if you don't, it's really cool that there's like, 8 versions of this cutscene depending on what you upgrade and don't upgrade. So I didn't have like anything upgraded my first time playing. And like everyone died before I even landed. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I restarted the entire game and then Googled it. But yeah.
Have you guys ever played it and had everyone die on the mission?
Yes.
Including
Because that's actually hard to do too. It is hard to get everyone killed.
It is.
I don't think I've ever had everybody die, but I've had some die. Like Fudd said, the first time I played through, I think I lost Jack because I forgot to upgrade. What was it, the outer shell or whatever of the Normandy? Yeah, and she died. I'm like, son of a. I was like, how? What did I do wrong? So.
See, I was a completionist, so I did everything. I did all the loyalty missions. Everybody was loyal to me except for Legion. Going into that last mission, I had upgraded everything, so I got it where everything made it through. I didn't lose anybody. Not any of the people. They got kidnapped. None of my teammates. Nothing.
Did you lose anyone, Blue, or did you have everyone succeed? I know you had the guide, but
everyone lived.
Yeah. Nice. Well, what do we think of the mission itself, though? Why? I mean, it is a pretty generic, like, running cover to cover and shooting collectors, but there's a couple
like that in Mass Effect.
Yeah. Which is of the times. Yeah. But like the hallway where you have the biotic bubble and you're fighting through the swarms at the same time.
That's cool. That's probably like
that was really cool.
I hate, and Blue hates them too. The guys that crawl up and you shoot them, and they won't.
Oh, the husks
and the husks,
naked zombie men.
and then the ones that can explode, the red ones. Mm-hmm. I hate those things. I hate that. I hate shooting them damn things.
So that was
how many bullets do I have to put into you? It's like, just go down.
That was probably my least favorite part of any mission, is where they just swarmed you with husks.
Yeah,
and it's like, this is a shooter king. What?
Well, so what? I guess we haven't touched on this at all. But what class did you play? Like how were your skills spec'd and whatnot? Because like I usually would play either. I think my last playthrough I did like a very like high biotic ability spec, so you have lots of crowd control, and so that part was like a piece of cake for me. But yeah, I've also done it though where I've played I forget what it's called, but it's like the sniper class, like the sniper soldier class.
Oh, and is that Vanguard?
Like those, no, Vanguard's the tech one.
Yeah.
Like Sentinel, maybe.
Sentinel, that's the one.
Yeah, I played through Sentinel a few times, and yeah, those parts are impossible as Sentinel because you have no crowd control. You're stuck with like single shotguns, like high damage, low DPS kind of kit, but. Yeah, as like a biotic character with like lots of AoE and crowd control stuff, like those parts become like nothing.
I think I'm infiltrator is what I'm running as.
I did biotic, but it took me a while to figure out. Oh, if I throw down the pull or the warp or whatever it is, where it's like the black hole that pulls them all in.
Singularity.
I made it so much easier because I would just throw that down where there's a choke point, and then they would just all run into it. And I was okay.
I'm partial to the one where it's like the shockwave you send out that like ripples and like knocks people in the air.
Effect.
Yeah, that one. That was always like my go-to crowd control. That one was always fun.
That's why I brought Jack with me. She had that ability. If you upgraded it, I love that. I tell her to fire that off. You see shit going doom, 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 flying off.
Well, the only bad part is because it takes so long for it to recharge. They would always swarm me if I tried to use that one. I used the singularity simply because it stayed for forever.
It does stay, yeah. Listen, there is not a problem in Mass Effect 2 that can't be solved as a soldier using Adrenaline Rush and the Mattock rifle. Adrenaline Rush. So what Adrenaline Rush does for anyone who hasn't played Soldier before is it basically slows time down, and you can shoot as fast as you can during it. So I have a semi-auto rifle with incendiary rounds on it. So a bunch of husks will come out. You slap that and just like just slam as fast as you can, and it just wipes them all off the board. And you go, all right, well, off to the next thing. And I do it with every enemy the whole game. Just chef's kiss.
Is that how you ran out of ammo leading up to the last boss?
Yep. Worth it though. Didn't have a problem with husks. What's up, buddy?
What about you, Ashley?
I was a soldier like FUD, except I forgot that the rush thing was a thing.
No.
So I was just shooting them down as fast as I could.
Although there is, I mean, the mission where you meet Legion, where there's that hallway before Legion where it's literally like 8 million husks. I don't care what you do. When I got to that point in this stream, I was like, folks, I've played this a million times. This is my least favorite part of the game, is this one hallway right here.
With the big blue guy.
Yep. And there's like 100 of them and a million husks.
And Scions are always my worst enemy type in 2. They're so hard to kill when you first meet them.
But back to the last mission, though, so we can keep moving forward here. So as you're moving through the collector base, right? The actual collector base, super cool. A lot of great speeches, some good hold the line-esque speeches. But you get to that last room, and there's the reveal that they're building a human Reaper, and it's just hanging from the ceiling. What was that like, especially for you guys that were playing for the first time?
I was confused.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so big? Like, I feel like they could have made one much faster had they just downsized.
Have you seen a Reaper, though? They're huge.
Well, yeah, but why do they have to be? They control...
Because it's scary when they're huge.
Electronics, and they have these vast intellects, and that's the scary part about them. It's not their size. So it's like, I feel like you could have made a Reaper a lot faster had you made one just a little bit smaller, and then you could have made a bunch more. But
see, the point is to harvest and kill as many humans as you can.
So why not just make more of them?
But listen to this. Imagine, right? Earth gets attacked by a giant human-looking Reaper. That was the plan. Could you imagine what that would do?
I would poop my pants.
Yeah.
It'd be like Galactus.
Yeah. Which is way scarier than like a bunch of smaller galacti.
Which is more frightening than one guy floating down and blowing up the entire world.
I have thoughts on this, but it goes into Mass Effect 3 spoiler territory, so I will reserve them for the next one. I'll say generally, I was not a huge fan of the Human Reaper reveal at the end. I thought it came out of nowhere.
It made sense to me. All joking aside, I do think they could have just made one smaller and okay, cool. Even just half the size, still a big Reaper.
But it's the end boss of a shooter game.
It was a cool boss fight. Mechanically, it was a cool boss fight. I just thought it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Could you imagine showing up and fighting a smaller Reaper? It just wouldn't have the way the ship was huge. The big one just fit.
Yeah. Well, it made sense to me because throughout the whole game, the main premise is human colonies are disappearing and we don't know why. And that's always pushed. We don't know why so many humans are being taken. And so when that reveal happens, at least to me, you go, oh, because they're literally siphoning what people are into creating this giant Reaper. And so for me, at least, that's where I was like, oh, that makes sense because the whole game has been about why are they taking people? This is why.
Yeah, no, and it made sense too when you from the first game because they indoctrinated the Prometheans, they used them as their servants, right? They talked about that in the first game of how they kind of formed this almost symbiotic relationship with the Prometheans. The last time. Protheans.
Protheans.
Whatever.
Prometheans is what's that from Alien, right?
Alien.
Yeah.
Getting your sci-fi mixed up.
Yeah. There's only 100 of them, Russ. Keep them straight.
Right.
Yeah.
So it made sense when I came across it, and I was like, oh, this is their evolution. This is their next iteration. This is how they keep going. I was like, kind of makes sense. Although, like, I guess then it makes sense, like the Reapers that you see, like Sovereign, where it looked kind of crustacean-like, especially if you compare that the Harbinger, right, at the end. They do kind of look like larger versions of that Harbinger.
Yeah.
You know? I really thought that the collectors weren't Protheans. I thought they were Rachni. That had been subjugated and changed by the Reapers. I think that would have been a little cooler.
No.
Again, I'm keeping quiet because I have Mass Effect 3 stuff that like
they have like the yellow eyes and they have that yellow energy, and so I was like, the Rachni Queen, when she's like the yellow and talking about the yellow taking them over, that's what I thought it was. Plus, they're kind of bug-like, and so are the Rachni.
Yeah, but they're humanoid.
Who, the Protheans?
Protheans and collectors.
Collectors.
Yeah.
Well, kind of, but like the main one, he's very bug-like.
Yeah. Well, how about that reveal at the very end? Well, first we all agree it was a really fun boss fight, though, right? Even if you didn't have any ammo for it.
Yep.
I think it would have been more fun had I had ammo for it.
Yeah.
Was able to do anything except go.
Well, it's funny
Shoot it!
watching Blue's play through because she shoots the vials and it falls, and I think you were like, "Oh, okay. Well, that was easy." Like, and then it comes.
It comes back to life.
You're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, that is a fun boss fight.
It was like it was like did the reveal and it's loading up and building up, and I'm like, the gamer in me is just like, oh, please tell me I'm going to fight this giant thing. Please tell me I'm going to fight this giant thing. And then of course you fight the giant thing, and I'm like, yes. And then it was like, you just shoot the tubes, and I'm like, please tell me that wasn't it. Please tell me that wasn't it.
Surprise! Yeah.
I'm watching. I'm like, I don't want to tell her. I don't want to tell her.
Well, then at the very end, though, we've already talked about blowing up the collector base, but at the very end, when it reveals Mr. Assuming Direct Control is actually himself being direct controlled by a Reaper.
Harbinger,
yeah. That like he's not actually. At least my first playthrough, I thought he had this power and everything. So when it his eyes stopped glowing yellow and stuff, and the voice kept talking, and then it zoomed out, and it was like an actual other Reaper. I was like, "Oh shit! Whoa!" That was really cool.
I don't think I picked up on that.
At that point, with the only Reapers we've seen specifically were Sovereign in the first one, right? And then now we have Harbinger in Mass Effect 2. Okay. Yeah. God, it's been so long since the first time I played it. I'm trying to remember back what my reaction to that was. I think I saw it coming that like, oh yeah, these guys they're just pawns of the Reapers.
Yeah.
I want to say that that wasn't a huge twist for me the first time I played it, if I recall. But it was a very cool setup, and the reveal that the collectors were, the Protheans at one point, and have they themselves were collected.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, what collected the Protheans? Like,
the collectors became the collectors. Yeah.
Right.
So you said you didn't pick up on that at the end there, Russ? That it was Harbinger was a Reaper controlling the big bug dude?
I don't remember seeing Harbinger.
Oh,
right?
okay.
I don't remember seeing the Reaper.
It also was 7 a.m. for you.
Controlled.
Yeah.
I knew he was being controlled.
Oh,
like
okay.
that was the thing where I was like, I get where they're going with this, where it's like, okay, he's not the one actually controlling things. He's kind of a conduit. But I had picked up on that way earlier, just because it made sense, especially coming from Mass Effect, where it's like, yeah, the Protheans were used and indoctrinated by the Reapers. But I guess it does make sense, and that does bear the question, like, what did the Reapers look like when they attacked the Protheans? Right? Because if it's an evolutionary step, like every time they come, they kind of subsume the races that are there already, then, or the dominant race, which then kind of begs the question, why humanity? Maybe,
I think part of, I think they kind of leaned into a couple times in the story where like the main reason humans are being focused is because Shepard stopped everything in the first game, and they're like, all right, these guys got what's coming to them. Yeah.
These meddling humans would have gotten away with it too.
I would think too.
But yeah, I always looked at it, and it'll be interesting when we get to the discussion with 3. It's been the longest time since I've played the third game. Like a lot of my playthroughs, I'll play the first 2, and I'm like, I feel great. I love 3. But I haven't played it all the way through in a while, so I'm very interested to like really get into the story.
Same here.
A lot more. Yeah. But you know how I always took it as like the Reapers kind of have looked this way most of the time, and it's kind of like they just kind of hang out in deep space. And I think the main reason for coming through and destroying everything, one is to start the cycle, but also to like it's feeding time, so we can like their whole purpose. This is just repopulate. So when it's time for us to feed our reserves and go nap again, they're there.
Well, I'm wondering if, and this actually just occurred to me while we were talking, if it's not like this is how they evolve, this is how they reproduce, this is how they procreate, right? They kind of take a next evolutionary step. Yeah. Because actually looking at the Reaper that we've seen, like Sovereign, they kind of do look like Harbinger a little bit. Like a very, very large version of him with those same kind of spindly legs and the kind of long torso that kind of cups up at the end. So that's what makes me ask that question. Like, did they appear that same way when they came and subsumed the Protheans and kind of absorbed them?
If you remember when you hit the Prothean beacon in the first game, you have the dream. It's the same looking Reapers coming through.
Yeah, but is that because there was also the part where we have to make this make sense for Shepard, right?
Well, that's the thing is that becomes a whole, is it just making sense for Shepard, or is that and again, that's just kind of up to interpretation, I guess.
Well, and you have a lot to look forward to in Mass Effect 3.
Truth.
But
on this subject, I will say that
they probably would have looked that way coming to the Protheans because their intention was to become that large human version before they then attacked, too. So, I mean, they abducted the Protheans, subsumed them, became them, and then they attacked them.
Keep talking, someone. Sorry, I didn't realize it was going to end right there.
So then your vision is correct, but there are like when you see like the flashes of like circuit boards being combined with blood, like that should be our indicator, right, of what is happening in Mass Effect 2.
I guess we'll find out.
And are they just AI, or are they something that ascended?
I guess we'll find out.
Would you like to know,
Weather Boy? Yeah, all these questions shall be answered.
Or not.
Yep.
Or not. Or not. Well, anything else?
Deja vu here.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, at least this time it wasn't a lot of Ashley, you going, wait, you could use cover? You had things figured out.
I was just waiting for someone to point out a game mechanic that I missed. But it never happened.
Most everything was just kind of repolished, not really too much new.
2 was much more refined. I was going to say, I think the most pain in the ass, or I'd say the best improvement from 1 and 2, other than like the inventory system, was the sprinting mechanic. I don't think I ever used the sprint mechanic in 1 because it was just so clunky to use.
Oh, I used it all the time.
Oh, I could never get it to work for me, right? I'd always like be stuck on walls and corners and stuff, and
it drove me crazy that my gun was out literally all the time, and as soon as I'd put it away, that's when it would pop back.
Yeah. Well, anything else with Mass Effect 2 before we slide on out?
It's a great game.
Much, but
I'm
yes,
glad.
it's a fantastic game.
I'm glad that you have pushed me to play it because the
too.
story is excellent. Game mechanics, so for me.
That was the main reason I wanted to push this,
story.
especially for you to play through. Is like, obviously you're my best. Sorry, pause. One of my best friends. Get shit on, idiot. But sharing this game series with you, but also like you love great storytelling, and like you've been saying, like the big thing for you has just been pushing through some of these mechanics you don't like to get through this incredible storytelling.
It is like I can't believe it hasn't been mimicked. This idea of building on the choices that you made in a previous game. Why is that not utilized more? Like that is such. It just draws you in, and it makes it so important. Like you are making the story. That is so cool. I don't understand why more games have not.
I mean,
tried.
I think it really comes down to just like how games are developed. Is that how the game development process works now is so different than it was back then.
And it's, it's a big
2000s.
BioWare thing. I mean, Dragon Age, not as much as Mass Effect because they're not directly like story point, but like through the whole Dragon Age series
by someone else.
Yeah. But you can transfer saves, and like decisions you make in Origins affect 2, which affects Inquisition.
That's true.
Not as much for sure, but
Inquisition.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I think the big reason why this is just like a BioWare thing and you don't really see other companies doing it is because writing something and making these branching out all of these stories from someone that has looked into making a visual novel, making all of those different routes and those branchings from player choices and stories is really complicated to do.
Absolutely.
It takes so much work. It takes so much effort. So doing it from one game to the next and going, okay, if someone made this decision in this game, then it happens, then this will happen in this game. It's like, that is just a whole new level of complicated.
Yeah.
It's like a flow chart. It's like a flow chart hill.
Yeah, flow chart hell.
Basically.
Yeah.
I hate to see the novel of a script book that this trilogy is made.
But and that's what makes that's what makes Mass Effect so special, is that it's like one of the only things that does that,
Yeah.
It's the replayability it gives.
Absolutely.
Like me choosing to save the collector base. I've never done that. I want to see
it'll do
what
stuff.
that does in 3. Yeah.
Well, it's impactful.
Exactly.
There is a huge impact of like, oh, I made this decision in this first game, or I ran into this character in this first game who was a side character, and now they're a pivotal piece of what's going on. Mm-hmm. So good. But, to Ashley's point, I guess I do get it, right? The cost has got to be prohibitive on creating something like that. I cannot imagine, because even just the voice lines that you have to record and then having a cinematic for each different thing. Woof. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, man.
Yeah, I think I would say the reason I think we don't see, at least from what I see in the game industry as a whole, is I think the reason we don't see a lot of games like Mass Effect anymore, or Dragon Age even, is that I think a lot of developers are hesitant to go out and pitch the idea of making a trilogy with like a continuing impactful story between all three, because the industry just doesn't work that way anymore. It's not set up that way anymore, right?
It's not as innovative as it was.
You need you need like big games that are gonna draw in a ton of money, and you don't know if they're gonna get a sequel or not anymore, right? Like I think a lot of games being made now today, you don't see a lot of sequels right now. Like you see a lot of remakes, but you don't see a lot of sequels. Or if you do see a sequel, it is
except for Call of Duty.
Right, except for like annual release sort of stuff. But like the one that's kind of
Right.
coming to mind for me right now, just I think maybe to help drive this point home, is like the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
Oh,
Where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you can tell when they made Fallen Order, they didn't know if they were going to get a sequel or not.
Right.
They didn't know if that game was going to be a success. And so you can't go into designing a game with this huge branching narrative that continues over a trilogy unless you know for sure that you're going to get that trilogy made. And
Right.
yeah, I think the cost of game development has become so high, and the whole, how developers operate now and how publishers operate now. I think it would be hard to get a game trilogy or a game series like Mass Effect at all anymore.
And I think this is a perfect segue into what we'll be talking about next week on the podcast. I think AA markets and the indie market are what is going to give us our next step in the innovation of the gaming industry.
Absolutely.
You know,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm excited for that conversation.
I think, that's where we're going to see the innovation, and we're going to see things like, Mass Effect at the time that it came out was a AA game. It was a chance that they took. It was not this big AAA game. It was something where they went, let's see if this works.
Yeah, here's something we're passionate about, have an idea about. Let's see what happens. Because,
And
again, no one's done something like this before. Let's try it. Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're talking about next week is our favorite AA games.
Amen.
Excellent.
All right. Well, anything for anyone else? We happy? You enjoyed it? Bluelazor? Thoughts? Mass Effect 2, my second favorite game of all time. My little sister got to play it for the first time. Super exciting.
I really loved it. I really enjoyed Mass Effect 2.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, for my Garrus romance, when I first decided to go after him, I did it as a joke because I thought it would upset everyone because, it's the fan favorite, and here he is with my Shepard.
We're all behind you 100%.
But then it was like, as I started trying to pursue him and getting to know him better, it was like, okay, no, I genuinely want to romance you.
Well, that's part of the really fun part of watching you play through these games is like, obviously, you make your characters as jokey as you can, but like watching your reactions to things as it go and like how good the writing is and how it actually makes you feel things. I'm trying to remember which mission it was, but I was watching you and like watching your face legitly, like you were so just tuned into what was happening. There was no like, I'm trying to make a reaction for, the stream or like I'm trying to be silly about it. You were just so locked into the story and what was happening. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yep, it got her. She's in it now.
Oh yeah, it's like I am really enjoying the series so far, and I'm genuinely looking forward to Mass Effect 3. Even if it means I have to beat a 50-hour game in 10 days.
Well, listen.
I'll do it.
At the end of the day, I
did half of it in one night.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a podcast that no one makes money on. It's not a big deal. Nothing's set in stone. I can push it back a week if I need to.
No, you can't. That's not allowed.
Yeah.
It's my fucking podcast. I can if I want.
Dance for us, Content Monkey.
I'm a co-host and we can push it back a week.
We don't care what you think, Russ. Don't worry about it.
It's like I don't expect you guys to adjust the schedule because I didn't finish it in time. We will.
That. I will. I don't give a shit.
I am fine with pushing it back a week because it's probably going to be the same pattern where I'm going to be like, I'll play it a little bit and then I'll realize, oh crap, I have not moved nearly as much through this game as I should.
Yep.
And then I'll have to play it in one night again.
This isn't a big deal. Like it's.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a game that just came out. We're trying
exactly. It's
What do you think? What do you think?
It's a thing we do in our free time around having families and jobs and everything. Like, it's not a big deal to push stuff around. So if you need me to push it back a week, everyone will say yes, except Bill because he's a troll.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the last game in the trilogy, so it's not like we have another one to go to after it. And
we may be the third biggest gaming podcast in Egypt, but we're nowhere on a chart anywhere else in the world. So,
what about in
Egypt
Bangladesh?
specific.
I really want that to be true.
it is true.
Bangladesh. Let's be number one in Bangladesh.
Yeah,
We're
that's where you want to be
top
number one at.
podcaster in Egypt.
Yeah, that is a true statistic.
That is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No idea why.
Sorry, Egypt. This is what you got. All right, let's go around and let's get out of here then. Billy, do you want to start us off? Any places people can find you, buddy?
Yeah, I mean my usual Instagram handle, what is it, Bluelazor17, and mostly just sort of my hobby stuff there that I post, painting and arts and crafts and that sort of fun things. And I also throw them up on Fuzz Discord channel too sometimes.
Yeah.
That's about it for me.
Runga, RNGGator, where are you at, baby?
I'm right here, right now on this podcast. But you can also find me in the Discords, in myriads of Discords, modding, giving people shit. Usually, you can find me in Bluelazor's streams if she's streaming at night when I'm at home. And for once, we had her last stream. I did not give her any grief. I actually agreed with her. We had a civil conversation.
It was an unusual moment for us.
He's just lulling into a false sense of security. Don't worry about it.
I know. I'm just waiting for the other.
No, it was Ceiling Fan brought us together, is what it was.
Oh yes, the power of Ceiling Fan.
Love it. Bluelazor, where are you at?
I am on twitch.tv/Bluelazor, a fellow variety streamer like the Fudster here.
Rasipu, where are you at, baby?
You can find me at Jekyll72590, pretty much everywhere. On Twitter or X.
It's still
Twitter X.
It's the same
Just
thing.
call it Twitter. We know
Tomato,
it's
tomato.
Yeah.
DRJex, that's JEX7250. And that's mostly where I'm at. I have a TikTok. I don't do anything on it yet. Maybe in the future. Maybe I need to once I
love that.
Start writing my book again and have time.
I loved when you first got your account though, and opening my notifications is just like DRJex liked. It was like you went through my whole thing. It made me happy.
I did.
It made me happy.
I did.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of your stuff and was like, oh yeah, I'll like that because I wanted to see more content from you.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be on my For You page.
Well, thank you, buddy. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for episode 122 of Just Some Gamers. When we do the show, we are live. That's twitch.tv/ELMMERFUDD Games, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Next week, like Russ said, we'll be talking about AA games. Speaking of double letters, though, you can find me Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those places at ELMMERFUDD Games. Double M, double D. Russie Poo.
Nice segue.
Thank you. I've had a couple good ones tonight. I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
Take us out, dude.
Join us next week on Just Some Gamers for mutual chaos and utter incompetency.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
Hey, where's our theme music?
Well, so Sweaty Spooks has been making music again, which has been fantastic. So we're a step in the right direction. He made me a hilarious theme song for my streams. And then he sent me a couple test things he's been working on with saxophone because we told him we wanted saxophone on our theme. So we're getting closer. He's messing with stuff. He wants it to be perfect. So unlike a certain other person whose name ends with 101, he is working on it and has shown me proof of it. So life is good.
Okay. Then I won't give him a hard time.
Okay, good. You still can. Take an opportunity.
Look, I understand small incremental steps.
You have a small child. Of course. Yeah.